Good evening, everyone. My name is Kelly Moran, and I am the Assistant Director for International Admission here at Pace University. Thank you for joining our Safety and Security webinar, where you will learn a little bit more about safety on campus as it relates to a number of departments that help to support our students outside of the classroom. Today, we have the pleasure to speak with some members of our Pace University community. We do have some pre-asked questions, but feel free to put any question that you may have in the chat at any point during this session. We'll begin answering them shortly. So to get started, I'd like to introduce some of the members on our panel and let them share what it is that they do for Pace University as it relates to student safety. Vinny, let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Vincent Beatty. I'm the University Executive Director of Safety and Security. I take care of both the New York City and the Westchester campuses. We provide access control on all of our campuses as you're coming in. I'll emphasize New York City first, then I'll talk a little bit about Westchester. On the New York City campus, as you come on campus, there is access control, there is a guard, and there are cameras at every entry as you come on. So you will be asked to produce an ID card to come on campus. And within the building, in the elevators, lobby, common areas, there's cameras. In all the residence halls, there's access control as you come into the building, and there's also cameras within the building itself. We use a two-team approach to security at PACE. We have the PACE team, which is my staff that works directly for PACE University. All of us have police experience, whether it's in New York City, surrounding areas in Westchester County. We have some military police, we have some federal agents, and we also have some Westchester County officers right now on our staff. So we also work very closely with the local police in New York City. That is the first precinct. So we work very closely with them on any issue that comes up. In Westchester County, because it's a suburban campus versus an urban campus, things are a little different. But right now, with COVID-19 being an issue, we also have access control at all the entry points in Pleasantville and White Plains, the law school. And we also use the same criteria for if you're going into any of our residence halls, you need card swipe access, and there's also cameras on all the points and hallways and common areas in those buildings as well. We use the patrol methods on campus in Westchester with mobile patrols. We also use foot patrols, and we have somebody in a guard booth 24 hours a day. In New York City, we use a little bit different, a lot of stationary posts, simply because of the access into and around our buildings. And the great thing about where our New York City location is that we're close to some major transit hubs. There's a train station right underneath Pace Plaza. There's one right outside one of our buildings at 140 William Street, and there's also a major transit hub on the corner of John Street and Broadway, which is right across the street from our building at 180 Broadway. So this is the techniques that we've been using, and the great thing about it is my experience at law enforcement in New York City. I'm also a PACE graduate for both my undergraduate and my master's degree, and I also taught here for 20 years. So I've been here for 32 years at this point.
Well, greetings. My name is Tiffany Hamilton, and I serve as the Chief Diversity Officer for Pace University, and I'm delighted to be a part of the conversation today. And you may be asking, well, what does security mean in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion? As I provide leadership to the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, safety and security to me means that we commit to creating and sustaining a welcoming and just environment for all members of the PACE community. So we'll talk a little bit later about how that shows up. Delighted to be here, and I look forward to your questions.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Phaedra Daggermanjan. I'm the Assistant Director of the Counseling Center on the New York City campus. And yeah, for our office, safety really is about psychological and emotional safety. And our hope for students is that they feel like they can be who they are and explore who they want to be safely.
Good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Rachel Carpenter. I'm the Interim University Dean for Students, which means that I oversee the student affairs divisions on the New York City and the Pleasantville campuses. And similar to what you have heard earlier about what does safety have to do with my job and as the dean for students, but also for student affairs, similar to what Phaedra had said, looking not just about the physical safety and the psychological, emotional, mental safety, but also this creating this inclusive environment that's welcoming of all identities and creating more importantly for me is creating this sense of belonging for any student who is a part of any of our campuses. And that falls within student affairs, that falls to counseling, student accessibility services, residential life, housing operations, could also include our campus activities professionals, and also those who serve in our student conduct positions. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight and look forward to answering more questions.
Hi, good evening or good morning, depends on where you are. My name is Joseph Lee. I'm the history professor, and I'm also the director of the Global Asia Institute. Just like my colleagues, safety actually touch on many, many different levels, the physical, psychological, emotional, and also the intellectual as well. As a faculty member, my understanding of the safety is always about creating an inclusive, open, and also an engaging environment for our students to explore themselves, to take risks, and also to share their knowledge and also to share their experience as well. So I guess, to me as a faculty member, safety is really about protection against biases, misunderstanding, and also, some types of, stereotyping. So one of the wonderful things about Pace University is, we are very much like a small united nation. So whatever classes that you're taking across all the professional school, you are going to encounter some, very refreshing ideas that would actually help you to grow, to develop, and also to become a much more competent individual as well. So maybe, during the discussion, I can actually tell you more about some of the activities that we have been organizing throughout the years. So, yeah.
Good evening or good morning, wherever you guys are joining from. I'm Josh. I'm a senior computer science major here at Pace University with a double minor in mathematics and cybersecurity. I'm involved in a lot of different clubs and organizations here on campus, whether it be on the Pleasantville campus or on the city campus. Security is very important here for Pace University and its faculty, staff, and student body. And I'm kind of just here today to provide some student experience with that.
Hello, I'm Sydney. I'm a freshman criminal justice major, and actually this semester I was just voted into the diversity ambassador role. So I'm going to be in charge of kind of making different activities that keep our campus pretty inclusive. I'm also a member of the swim team and the senator of W.
Hello, I am Caitlin. I am a senior applied psych and human relations major with a minor in sociology and anthropology. I work as a tour guide with Josh and Sydney on our Pleasantville campus. We really like to emphasize the security on our campus to people who are visiting because it is important to know that coming in as a college student. I'm involved in many different clubs on our campus and organizations as well that work closely with the Pleasantville campus as well as the New York City campus. And like Josh and Sydney, I'm just here to provide a Pleasantville student perspective of our campus safety and security.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is David. I am currently a sophomore on the New York City campus in the directing major in the School of Performing Arts. Currently, I am a campus tour guide, and security to us in our New York City Welcome Center is all about providing safe, inclusive, and welcoming campus tours. I am also a part of the Residence Hall Association on campus, and I'm also worked as a track leader for Pace University Summer Scholar. So I'm excited to be giving you that New York City student perspective today.
Let's get started with a little bit about the last year. So now that we know some basics about what your offices provide, this last year was a lot, right? Between everything that was going on really throughout the world. But what additional services are your offices providing in light of the changes in this past year?
Hi, this is Vinny again from security. The last year has been interesting to say the least. With COVID, we were able to close down the campuses as far as people that would come on needed to provide a negative PCR test to come onto campus. They have to be cleared through a medical system that tells the guards that they are free to come onto campus. If they had guests or visitors, there's a temporary pass system that can be used. In addition to that, We work with facilities, Dean Carpenter's area, with the residence halls. We provided PPE, personal protective equipment. We bought it in bulk and we distributed it to the schools and to different areas that requested it. And we also work with any state or local authorities on vaccinations, things on those lines. And it's something that it's a continuation. I think it's gonna continue from a good part of the summer as well with the vaccinations, which we've done on campus. We work with other groups to do weekly testing. All resident students are required to get tested weekly. And it's something that we work with them, and also athletics as part of that group as well.
Oh, I was just going to hop in and share a couple of items from the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, right? So within this division, we have offices of multicultural affairs, our Office of Sexual and Interpersonal Wellness, our LGBTQ centers, and our Office of Institutional Equity and Title IX compliance. And all of those have a focus on safety and security, whether that's proactively by educating and informing communities through programs and services that they've offered. We moved those virtually, and we've had a few in person, even in the midst of the pandemic. So our commitment remains, whether we're in person or virtual, to continue to elevate those voices, but more importantly, educate and inform community on on the various items that we cover.
I think I'm gonna say that the word for the year has been pivot. And that is, whether you're a fan of the Friends TV show or otherwise, pivot has been the word. And I think that when you come to Pace University, you can expect the faculty, the staff, the students, the administration to pivot to new policies, new processes, new ways of supporting students, because things, whether you're in Pleasantville or you are in New York City, things happen, life happens. And so I want to reassure you all that we have teams in place and processes in place that if we need to do things differently, then we will respond that way. And I think one of the biggest things that we had to do from a psychological perspective, but also health safety, was the quarantine and isolation process that we had to put into place. And if somebody were to come down with symptoms or actually tested positive for COVID-19, the word quarantine or isolation is pretty heavy, and it can be incredibly isolating for somebody to have to spend quarantine by themselves. Sometimes we can quarantine and isolate students together depending on their situation. But the most important part I want you to know is about the staff and the support that you will receive here at Pace. For instance, we assign every student a quarantine support staff member if they do have to go into quarantine or isolation. And that is somebody who's going to check in on you daily, that can help get you medications, deliveries, mail, food, all those things that you cannot go out and get for yourself. And they're really going to check on you to make sure that you are also okay. So I think that creates a parallel for some of the other things you can experience at Pace, but that's a specific example from this year.
I know from a tour guide's perspective, we had a lot of virtual offerings for our students because we did want to ensure the safety of the students currently on campus. So instead of bringing families on during the time, especially when numbers were really high during fall semester, we mostly provided virtual options for our students or prospective students who are interested in coming here to get that still campus opportunity to view everything, look at the different stuff that we would have shown you in person, which I thought was really helpful. And we've actually gotten many of you to be really interested in PACE just from those PowerPoints and Zoom meetings that we've had with you, because we do try to make them as personable as possible, because of course we want to bring you to the home that we created here at PACE, which is something that is so important to us. But as things are opening up, we do have limited number of families coming onto campus for in-person tours. We actually just got the go-ahead to have not just accepted students, but all students who are interested in PACE be able to come onto tour for in-person campus tours. If that's something that you're interested in doing, you can definitely come view campus in person and get that real-world experience that you're looking for before coming here. But that's just also something I wanted to mention.
For us in the counseling center, pivot is the perfect word, and it was to offering all of our services virtually, which we were able to do. Everything that we offered 2 years ago, we offered this past academic year as well. So we're prepared for whatever is needed going forward.
Yeah, I also want to echo, my, colleagues, Dean Carpenter and also Tiffany mentioned about that kind of, responsive, we are being very responsive and proactive. One thing that we learned during this long period of the lockdown is, every one of us are actually social animals. We need a connection, either online and offline. One good example I would like to share is over the last few months, we come across many media reports about violence and also harassment against certain cultural group like Asian or Asian Americans. So I think we have students who were deeply concerned about the types of safety issue. So my unit, Global Asia Institute, we work with the Multicultural Affairs, the people of Color Collective at PACE to organize a public 1 hour, common hour dialogue. I think that events we attract as many as almost 100 students and also people from the local community to come. So I think that was actually a very meaningful moment for our members to share their concern, frustration, but at the same time, we also ask people to propose some kind of practical advice and also guidance in order to help our students to deal with that types of psychological stress as well. So I guess we are all, be very responsive and also trying to provide some kind of, caring and also supportive learning community for our students.
I just have one thing to add on that. We just recently met with the new commanding officer for the 1st Precinct. And we brought up our concerns about the violence against Asian Americans or the Asian population in and around New York City. And because of our location in Lower Manhattan, we shared our concern, and they will work with us to, if there's any incidents on campus, and they will also give us some resources as far as additional patrols. And we also asked for any type of literature for safety processes that we can share with the students in the incoming class.
That's definitely great news to hear. One question that we did get from our attendees is the COVID vaccination going to be mandatory for students? We actually have that answer as of earlier today, so perfect timing. We just received information that we will be requiring all students coming to campus to be vaccinated against COVID-19, beginning with the fall 2021 semester. We do understand, particularly if you're coming from another country with restrictions on vaccines, that might be difficult. So more information about that is going to be available on our website in the coming weeks. So definitely keep an eye on that. But yes, it will be required if you are planning to come to campus this fall. In keeping with the safety theme, how are students able to communicate feelings of being unsafe or uncomfortable to the campus community? Which type of department would be best for which type of sentiment?
As far as the safety area, we have a PaySafe app that you can download to any smartphone, any iPhone or Android phone, and it provides a lot of resources, local phone numbers, people to contact, and it also gives an area where you can report an incident. And once that incident is filed with the security department, we do file a report internally, and we follow up with any of the people on this message and others if additional follow-up is necessary. And there's some nice features on there. Tell a friend if you're going to walk. I'm leaving school now. I'll be back in the residence hall in 10 minutes. If you don't get there, they can contact you on the phone. There's an emergency 911 button on the app. It's a great app. And thanks to COVID, it's been downloaded probably about 20,000 times now. So it's in use. It really is a great resource for students to use.
I think it's also good to highlight that in that PaySafe app, that perhaps it's not a question of physical safety, but maybe you've experienced something that caused you to tilt your head. So in that PaySafe app, or maybe you heard something that could be of harm to someone, in that app, you also have access to the bias incident reporting right? Where you can say, this is something that I've experienced, and you can submit that and we can follow through on that as well. So trying to make sure that those resources are available to all. And now that you report that incident, it may go through our Office of Institutional Equity, or it may, because that office oversees all of our policies as it relates to discrimination and harassment prevention. Now, say it isn't an issue that rises to that level, but it's something that you think we should address or walk through. And that's when I work with some of my colleagues, such as Dean Carpenter and others, to help navigate those situations.
I also think if it were to be an issue of safety in that moment, all over our campuses, within your distance, there will be a blue light. And that blue light system is really helpful for our students who have a moment of panic and they need to have help and safety right there in that moment. They can press that button and within seconds, they'll get a verbal response over the intercom. And within minutes, get an in-person response from one of our security guards or a police officer if needed, which is super great for the safety of our students. Is something we really like to highlight on our tours as well, because our parents understand, like, coming in, it's a little bit scary to send your child off on their own, but we have these great systems. We have great security on our campus who really give the attention to our students when needed.
There's a lot of resources that are available to students on campus, and whether it's going to security, whether it's using the PaySafe app, the blue polls that Caitlin was talking about, and but there's also some relationship building that happens at Pace University that I think some students then look to their faculty and their staff who they trust to be able to say, I'm experiencing this, where do you think I should go? Because sometimes, like, it's either nothing or a case of an emergency. What happens when it kind of falls in between that? And so our faculty and our staff are from all areas of the university are able to help guide you in the right direction or give you referrals to other offices. If you choose to live on campus with us, which we hope you do, we have professional staff who oversee each of the residence halls. And so they're also able to either facilitate that process or be able to refer you to the folks who will. As previously said, if I could become involved from a Dean for Students perspective, Ms. Hamilton's area from a diversity, equity, inclusion could also, depending on the level or the type, especially if you're feeling harassed or you feel that you're being stalked or there are other things that might be happening, those will probably fall between security, my office, and sometimes within Ms. Hamilton's office area too. And when it's kind of a little bit of a low level, I would really challenge our students to think about what are the advocacy efforts that are available to you through our Student Government Association. So when perhaps you feel that advocacy needs to be taken on behalf of a group or population of students who just generally feel unsafe, whether that's on campus, around the surrounding areas, which isn't always within our control, but we can work with community organizations that could also help us address some of those concerns.
I just need to add one thing about what Caitlin mentioned, the code blue phones, only in Westchester. They are not in New York City. Unfortunately, New York City doesn't like when you put phones in their middle of their streets.
I can assure you they're all over the Westchester campus though, from entrance to exit.
Just to echo what the panelists are saying, as they mentioned, all of the staff and faculty members are here to support the students. So if at any point someone has a question or a concern, they are able to come to really any staff or faculty member that they feel comfortable with. And we'll work with the student to try and figure out who the best point of contact is moving forward, who will be their best support system. In terms of in-person orientation, there are some events that will be held on campus. As Caitlin mentioned, we have some tours that are on campus. So some of the events will be able to be on campus should a student wish to come and see campus in person, but for the most part, orientation will be held online.
Kelly, I can answer that a little bit
Sure.
more if you want. So
Yes,
from
please.
from the vaccine perspective, as Kelly said, we literally just, like, hot off the presses, 3:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when that came out. And there will be additional information on the website. There will be an FAQ section. Right now we are making exemptions for medical or religious reasons. The next question is going to be, okay, how can I document that? That will also be on that forthcoming website. Again, I told you that one of the key words for us is pivot. And part of pivoting is being able to get the information out as soon as possible with some information rather than sit on it, wait until we have every single detail worked out and then release it and not have given people enough time to have mentally and logistically prepared for that. So I appreciate the questions that are coming up in the chat about the vaccines and the unpredictability and not being able to give you all the information at once. There are some conversations happening about virtual classes. I want to reassure people that the selection or choice to go to a required vaccine is in an effort for us to return to as close as normal as possible, whatever that means these days. And so looking for more in-person classes, looking for more in-person events, increased capacity, which is really pointing us to having our students vaccinated. And we've heard loud and clear from our students that the experience that they have had this past year versus looking forward to next year, that is the direction that they would like for us to move in, to have these in-person experiences. So I understand that that comes at a cost for some folks, especially when we don't have all the information out to you. The orientation, as Kelly said, is going to be more of a virtual as we did last year. Our campuses won an award for the most engaging online platform. And so we're looking forward to have a repeat there. And we are looking for some in-person opportunities that will happen around August that will give people the opportunity to come and spend a half day, 3/4 of a day with us so that they can start making those relationships with peers and also faculty and staff. So stay tuned for more information about that. We always work within New York State guidelines and at CDC recommendations.
Okay, the next question is in relation to the New York City campus. So given that the New York City campus doesn't have the blue light system, what is the New York City alternative to the blue light system? And I'm guessing this is going to be aimed more so at Vinny, but David, if you want to tag in as a New York City student as well, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, David, I'll let you start off, then I'll fill in the spaces.
Amazing. So we do have security present in 24/7 in all of our residence halls and One Pace Plaza where students are all the time. And then when you are traveling in between those buildings, if you ever feel unsafe, we have that Pace Safe app that was mentioned before. And on the Pace Safe app, you can request a security escort within the Pace University area to escort you back to your residence hall or where you're going. We also have a Friends Walk feature of that app where you can share your location with friends and make sure that each other is staying safe. I also did see a question about like coming home from theater rehearsals late at night, and I'm a performing arts student, so I definitely understand what it's like to travel from the performing arts building back to the residence halls. But the good thing is that you're never alone. You're always going to be with other people, so you will be walking together. And like I said before, if you ever want an escort with you, you can request that on your phone, and someone will meet you to walk you where you'd like to go.
David, you stole my thunder, but you did a great job. Thank you. The one question that came up several times is, have we seen an upturn in the violence in and around the New York City campus? And the answer is no. We were in constant contact with the first precinct. We actually have a neighborhood community officer assigned to the precinct. If anything happens in the area, they contact us directly. And we have not only their work emails, but we also have their cell phone numbers. And we're in constant contact with them, and we have not seen an uptick in any type of violence in and around the city campus, or as a matter of fact, Westchester or White Plains either.
Okay, so the next question is in regards to sexual assault on campus. What do we do to keep students safe? And if something were to occur, what steps are taken after the event?
So if there was an occurrence to happen on campus or in proximity to campus, we always encourage our students to call either 911 or security, right? Depending on where you are. So when that process starts and say you're not on campus and it happens, you call local authorities, they learn that you're a PACE student. Typically, that entity will connect with us in some capacity so that we can learn of it, or if you disclose it to us, we then pair you with the appropriate support and resources that you need to get through that process. So whether that's partnering with the counseling center or with our confidential resource within the Office of Sexual and Interpersonal Wellness to serve as support through the process, we will do that depending on who the perpetrator is. If they are affiliated or unaffiliated with the institution, there are policies in place that guide how we adjudicate that process as well. So whether you are a victim or a perpetrator, regardless of affiliation, if you're involved in some capacity, we have systems and support to work through that process.
On a security note, if security is notified about an incident, we work with residential life, the counseling areas, things in those lines. We provide, one, we make sure that the individual is safe and secure. We offer to get the NYPD or the Westchester County Police Departments involved. If they wish to do that, we assist them in that process. If they do not wish to follow up with the police, we follow up with all the resources that we have on this page, including counseling, the diversity office, residential life, university healthcare, whatever resources that they need to assist them in the issue that came up.
Thank you, Vinny and Tiffany. So the next question is expanding a bit more about security in the residence halls. Does each room have locks? Are the employees that have access to their rooms vetted, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, all the residence halls have access control on the front doors of the building. And wherever there's an access control reader, there's also a camera. So we know who comes and goes out of the building. Second part is the rooms themselves. Every room has its own lock, whether it's a mechanical lock or some of the newer buildings we have card readers on them, where you can assign a group of people that would have access only to that room. In both New York City and Westchester, if you're a member of Alumni Hall in Westchester, you only have access to Alumni Hall. You don't have access to all the other buildings. Same thing in New York City. You can go in as a guest, but you just don't have free access into that building. I can't talk for other areas as far as the cleaning staff, the maintenance staff. They are hired by an outside company right now. And I can only talk for my security staff. My security staff are all licensed by the state of New York. They have a background check done. They have a psychological profile done. They also get drug screened and fingerprinted prior to them becoming employed on the Pace University campus. And as far as that's what we do on a daily basis. Some in New York City, there is a security officer at the entry point of every campus, of every building, because there's only one entry. In Westchester, we don't have that simply because some buildings have multiple entrances. One building I know has 4 or 5 entrances, so having a security guard at every entrance would be difficult. And we work with students over the years, and they wanted the additional freedom of being able to come in from a side door, from a back door, without having to walk around to the front of the building. So we increase the number of doors that are available to them.
All right, thank you, Vinny. The next question is in regards to disability safety and how transportation works around that. So disability accommodations on campus.
We work with disability services. If a student has an issue getting around physically on campus, we work with transportation, and they can provide buses that will kneel down and let the individual in. If it's difficult for them to get on the bus, in extreme cases, my security staff will escort people to and from any point on campus.
And I would say student accessibility services in general. So whether that is, accessibility around campus, whether that is instances that Vinny just talked about, and also academic accommodations made in the residence halls, those are all handled by our student accessibility services staff. And when you attend orientation, or even before that, we will be releasing very soon, actually recording a welcome video for you as part of the family and student orientation modules. You'll have an opportunity to get to know their operations better in that module. And then you'll also be able to set up appointments or be able to chat one-on-one about perhaps you have supports that are necessary, both academically and otherwise, so that you'll be able to kind of customize. That's one of the things the Student Accessibility Services does. Each student's need is different. And so they will be able to customize what are the needs and what reasonable accommodations can we make to ensure that you are successful.
Thank you, Rachel. So the next question is regarding pivoting in general. So in the event that we would need to see the campus shut down for one reason or another, be it COVID, be it remote learning, weather situations, what have you, how do we see that process going moving forward if the campus did need to shut down again?
You can see we're all thinking about this. So I serve on the COVID-19 task force, and I have since about February of 2020. And we have, if you would like to check it out, we do have a COVID-19 dashboard website. It does outline all the different colors and what they mean. I believe we have been in the yellow a couple times. We opened in the spring with a yellow heightened alert because of the developing situation that was happening outside of our campus. We knew that after the holidays, multiple holidays, the New Year's, that there were going to be spikes that had happened around the New York City area and also even in Westchester. And so we entered the semester cautiously. And so when you look at that website, it tells you what some of the parameters are and what some of the consequences of making that decision include. So it could be that we adjust our guest policy, we reduce the event capacities, we reduce the opportunity for people to gather in person, whether that's in classrooms or in other kind of more public spaces that are owned by the university. We may also, depending on, we work with two different departments of health. We work with the New York City Department of Health and the Westchester Department of Health. And so we will also evaluate the campuses differently so that we might have one campus that's in green, but another campus that's in yellow. And so we work very closely with their guidelines and the Department of Health's input. If we were ever to go to red, we would see that coming. So I think in March of 2020, clearly a lot of people didn't see it coming. And so it was not a pivot, it was more of a whiplash situation. We braked real hard, recollected ourselves, and then had to decide how best to move forward. So we will see that coming because we meet on a regular basis. We keep count not only within the local and the state and the regional area, but also our campuses so that we can kind of see that trajectory happening. And we have communication plans in place. We have logistics and teams that are ready to respond when they need to. If that meant keeping our students on campus, reducing to only the ones who couldn't go home, how are we going to arrange for food and access and classes and kind of the full service, if you will. So there will be a lot of moving parts. There will be a lot of communication. And in an ideal situation, we would see that coming because I would hope in the last 13, 14 months, we have all learned a lot more about what to expect.
Thank you, Rachel. The next question is in regards to roommate conflict. So if our students want to chime in on this one, what steps are taken in the situation of a roommate conflict and feeling unsafe in one of those situations? Is relocation an option if it becomes serious?
So at the beginning of the semester, your RA is going to give you kind of like a contract that you and your roommate have to make. So you guys can kind of discuss the different rules you have for each other and kind of discuss how you live and how you and your roommate lives. And if they continue to kind of disrespect what you guys kind of agreed on, you can always go to your RA and they will like kind of have a meeting with you guys to make sure that you guys will be on the same page, that they are not disrespecting you and what your agreement was. And if they continuously do that, you can still go to your RA and your RA will go to the RD, who is the residence director in your hall. And they'll kind of try to figure out different rooming situations and kind of figure out a better way so you guys can have a better experience here. Actually, I had an issue with my roommate in the beginning of last semester, and I actually got moved in, like she got moved into a different room and I stayed in my room. So it was kind of really helpful having that agreement with my RA and the RD in alumni hall, so I could kind of be happy and have like a better semester with not being with someone who was kind of constantly like disrespecting my living situation and how I wanted to live compared to how they want it to look.
Not only in general with that, as Sid said, but with COVID guidelines and everything, if they are breaking those rules and making you feel unsafe and feeling like they're putting you and your safety at risk and your health at risk, especially, that's something that you could take forward to your RA as well, especially the RDs in the building as well, because if they are breaking COVID guidelines on campus as a whole, that's something that it doesn't just disrespect you as a roommate, it disrespects like the rules on our campus as well. And it puts not just you and your roommates at risk of safety and health safety, but the entire campus if they're being disrespectful and unsafe.
Thanks, guys. So to conclude, we're just going to focus a little bit more on the student perspective of safety on campus. So if you guys don't mind just sharing your perspective, what it was like coming to campus from your previous institution or from high school, and how you were able to adapt in using all of the different offices from the panelists that we have here today.
I definitely can go. I was definitely one of those like nervous Nellies coming into college, wasn't really sure how it was going to go for me. But coming to PACE, especially on our Pleasantville campus, because that is my personal experience, I saw how many different opportunities and safety precautions that our campus took, which did make me feel safer coming onto our campus as a student. When there were times that I felt unsafe or I needed to talk to someone, we did have that counseling center, which was super helpful. We did have our security guards, which I could go to, our security office located in our first year residence hall as well. I could go to speak with them. I could even go speak to our dean of students, Dean Carpenter. She's always there to talk to our students and making sure that they're feeling comfortable on our campus if it really gets to be too much for you and the counseling center is not enough for you, or you need to take precautionary measures or anything like that. That's something that our campus definitely offers to our students, which is super important. If there were to ever be an issue personally, going back on the regards of sexual assault on our campus, if there were to ever be something that really puts you in harm's way like that, we do have Title IX officers on our campus who are there to help our students and to help put no contact orders, making sure that you don't have classes with those certain students. All those different precautions that they give and opportunity to our students did make me feel better about coming to our campus. Fortunately, I did not have to worry about anything like that during my time here because our campus offers so many safety precautions, but knowing that they're still there for our students really put me in a comfortable position going to college. It's definitely scary putting yourself into a position where you're on your own now, but I was able to feel a lot more comfortable coming to PACE given everything that they provide to us.
Can I just jump in and say there was one question that I read earlier? In the event of any type of crime or any major event that happens on any of our campuses, the first people we call is 911, and we call the police on campus. Whether it's New York City, White Plains, or Pleasantville, we're actually covered in Pleasantville by the Mount Pleasant Police. They actually patrol our campus on a daily basis. They're here every shift. They drive around campus, make sure everything's okay. And as part of my job over the years that I've been here is to foster that relationship with the police. And we've done it. We're one of the few campuses that police will actually patrol our campus on a daily basis. And the response time is unbelievable. They're here within 2 to 3 minutes of any event that we have.
Circling back to just the student perspective, David, do you mind sharing a little bit about New York City?
Sure, yeah. So I'm from Long Island originally, which is like a suburban area. So I went from a suburban town to more of an urban area in New York City. One thing that definitely really comforted me is that our entire New York City campus is located within a 5-block radius. So I would just have to walk 5 blocks from One Pace Plaza back to my residence hall, which is not that far. It's just like you put 1 or 2 songs on shuffle in your headphones and you're kind of there in no time. In the financial district area, it's quieter than the rest of the city. It has mostly residential buildings as well as corporate buildings. So at night it becomes much quieter and you really see like PACE students walking around with like PACE sweatshirts and PACE gear. And so that made me feel more comfortable around the area. And that's what made it really start to feel like home. And then in terms of like getting support services on campus from security and diversity, equity, and inclusion and counseling, we have a class called University 101 that all freshmen wind up taking. It's a freshman seminar course. And in that freshman seminar course, we had guest speakers from all those offices come in on different days and educate us on what those offices do, how we can properly use those resources and utilize our support staff here in our PACE community. And my UNB 101 teacher was very careful about asking us, like, how are you doing? You know, how's this transition going for you? Do you feel safe? What can I do for you? And so they're really great about having those meetings and check-ins with you. So your University 101 class is going to be a great opportunity for you to make sure that you're adjusting properly and that you feel safe in that adjustment.
Sydney or Josh?
So I came in, again, I'm a freshman, so I came in during, prime COVID time. And actually, like Dean Carpenter was saying, there's a whole support group that kind of looks over COVID to make sure nothing really spreads. And actually last semester, they saw the freshman hall was the only one that was really spreading COVID. So we had to shut down, but like our whole entire hall, but also it was kind of like a great way it was a great wake up call for us freshmen to realize that we need to be a lot smarter. But they always gave us different activities to do, which was a lot of fun. They gave us like Build-A-Bears. They gave us like painting things to do, which made us feel a lot comforting. And for all the people that were in quarantine, we did have that support coordinator. So mine was actually my swim coach. So she would always text us every once in a while to make sure that we were okay. And just having that constant contact with like people like the higher ups at PACE with us and like housing, talking to us every once in a while, kind of telling us what's going on in the school and us seeing, like, we didn't even have that many cases. It was like 20 cases and we shut down, but it was kind of a great way for us to like learn. And it was a great learning experience for the freshmen because we were the ones being dumb and getting into trouble and causing the COVID cases on campus. So I think that, and also make us keeping track now, like now every other week I kind of look onto our COVID website, like, okay, we're doing good, we're in the green. And every now and then it was kind of a great resource for me to use. And then also I feel really safe now because we seriously get COVID tested once a week. I'm an athlete, so I get tested twice a week. So that's also a great way for us to kind of be safe and making sure that everyone on campus is being just following the proper precautions.
Yeah, I kind of like to echo off like Cindy said, like I'm an out-of-state student, so I'm 2,000 miles away from my home. So coming to PACE was, security was a big idea because who am I going to turn to because mom and dad won't be there for me right around the corner. So security was always a big thing, having the Mount Pleasant Police Department always patrol, having security there and having the many offices here on this campus and the city campus available for students was like a big plus. I mean, we learned about this about one of our first days in orientation. We sat down for an hour and my orientation leader went through and said, here's the offices, here's the numbers you need to contact, here's his people's emails. If you ever do feel like this at any point within your freshman year, you can either contact me or on these other offices and we will get you in the right touch with people, as well as in University 101. Like we learned about it from the first day. And even some of my professors, like later down the line, freshman or my senior year, I've had a professor say, here's, offices for, the mental health center, the counseling center, Dean Carpenter. I mean, it was multiple resources. You always get it through you every year, so you never forget, and you kind of have those resources there to remind you, even in troubling times, there is a place to go to.
Thank you, Josh. Other than that, thank you to all of our panelists for joining us today, and thank you for all of our attendees. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about safety and security here at PACE University. Have a great evening.